Hi friends, I don't like AI. Please forgive my wet hair. I just got out of the shower and I am going to go see some friends after this. So you are seeing me with wet hair. And to be fair, so will they. This does not dry quickly. But I wanted to talk about AI because I've been thinking about it a lot more lately. Um, well, I've been thinking about a lot of things lately, but I've been thinking about AI. I don't like it. And I know that I am not the only one who holds those opinions. I think a lot of people I talk to don't like AI. um, I'd probably go as far as to say I hate it, but what's more important to me is that I don't use it. I make a very active effort to avoid using AI in any part of my life. I certainly don't actively engage with it. I don't use ChatGPT. I avoid generative AI tools in my coding, in my artistic creations. But I also try to avoid any kind of AI features, which are built into 90% of the apps on my phone now. And it's getting quite hard to avoid. Um, and I wanted to have a talk about why I don't like it, and in fact, why I think the conversation about AI is happening a little bit wrong. But to start with, I wanted to cover my my personal um, stakes in the game, because I used to be an AI specialist. I am a data scientist. I'm a certified woman in STEM, and I did my undergraduate and master's theses on neural networks. Um, in fact, the thing that got me into computing in the first place, the very first thing that I went, wow, computer science is really cool actually, was machine learning. It was a coding train video on uh, evolutionary algorithms. And so I don't talk about AI from a place of uh, being an outsider and seeing something new. I talk about it really from someone who loved AI quite a lot, and I really did, uh, and who has seen what it's become and is very uncomfortable with that. Um, so all that being said, when we talk about AI, particularly in the space of people who don't like AI very much, I think the crux of the conversation has become very embedded in its resource usage. Most of the complaints I see, or at least most of the anti-AI content, mentions how much water it uses, or how much power it uses. And these are very, very real problems with AI. Particularly when we're using it in place of other more resource sensible tools. I'm not going to shill for Google, but search algorithms without AI have been made incredibly efficient. And we are throwing efficiency out the window for AI. We also might talk about the cost of resources in terms of RAM or GPUs, and why they're becoming so expensive now is because of AI. And these are also problems, which, they're impacting ability to get hold of hardware. I am not the only one to have noticed that we were seeing a real improvement year on year of hardware capabilities, and now everything's very AI focused. Getting upgrades for things that aren't about AI is actually quite hard. It's just not really been happening. The other side people often approach it from is the intellectual property side, and I'll be honest, that was never a fight that I was on the side of intellectual property holders, which I understand does pit me against small artists, but I'll be honest, most intellectual property fights were being fought by Disney. Now, that's a separate point to the video, but the reason I don't like AI, the thing that I stand against it on, maybe not principle is the right thing to say, but the worry that I hold and the reason I don't think it's worth dipping my toe in is that AI and neural networks in general, I would say, but particularly this new version of large language models, they take the breadth of human expression, of human creativity, of thought, of everything heretofore thought by humans, or at least everything that can be scraped off the internet, and it compresses it into a space. And I usually think of this space as like a sort of box, sort of cloudy box, in many, many dimensions, but 3 is all you can really picture. And this box contains all thoughts ever had by people so far. And AI is really good at taking the words we say, the prompt we give it, the input, which is raw human creativity, tokenizing it, breaking it down into numbers, vectors, into a point in this cloudy box of human knowledge, and returning non-deterministically, which is to say the same phrase will give you a different answer, but it will map to a point and some relatively constrained point in the cloudy box of human thought. And this is destructive. By nature, this is destructive. This, taken to its extreme, does not allow for creativity. It allows us to explore the cloudy box of all human expression heretofore delivered, but novelty does not exist inside this box. A certain degree of synthesis does, but novelty doesn't. And that is my problem, which I think is quite hard to explain on a non-mathematical level. So I want to step it back and just say that what AI does to us, the studies that have already been done on the cognitive effects of AI are very real. And I worry that even minimal exposure is enough to start shutting down creativity in us. Particularly any time you take an opportunity to be creative and you offer that to an AI instead, you are blunting the sharp tool in your head of human creativity. And if this becomes widespread, like a lot of people want it to be, there will be a stagnation. And this stagnation will be very difficult to see because creativity is not something we really understand. But it's out there and it's dangerous, and it's why I think we should stop talking about resources when we talk about the problems with AI, because one day they might be fixed. We might make data centers that are less water intensive, or ramp up clean power to power them, or come up with models that are more efficient. We might solve the intellectual property issues. Your RAM might become cheap again. And if all these things happen, or happen to enough of a degree to assuage our problems that we're currently talking about, will the cohort of people who don't like AI start to move towards it? And so instead of looking at what are functionally implementation issues, I want to encourage us to start talking about the issues with AI in what they do to us as people. And that's what I'm going to leave us with today, is you are a unique and special individual, because we all are. And we don't understand where creativity comes from, but it doesn't come from a data center in fucking Arizona. It comes from inside our heads and when we work together, and that cannot be outsourced to AI. So look after yourself, be creative. As I am constantly pushing, make bad things that almost no one will see. And there will be better times ahead. I am not pessimistic about the opportunity AI will have to fall flat, especially if it's up against creative, talented people who have their eyes open. I'm not usually going to shill. I'm not going to shill. I'm not. I like hearing from people, but I worry that talking about the comments and subscribers and likes makes it seem like I'm trying to build my influencer status. God, my voice is going. So I'm not. I'm really not. Fuck AI. Hopefully that knocks me down the algorithm enough that I don't come across as that kind of shill. But I do want to hear from people, especially about AI. If you watch this far, talk about AI. Please. I respond to comments because, frankly, I don't get that many. So it's really nice for me to be able to have a conversation, an actual conversation with you. Please do feel free to talk anything you'd like about AI. I want to hear what people actually think, because there is a bit of a, well, there's a bubble economically, but there's a bubble socially that can be a bit hard to pop. Anyway, these videos are usually 5 minutes. This one's gone over to 13. I love you very much, friends. I will talk to you tomorrow.